Welcome to Classified Captures.
Steve here, and today we've got a wild lineup of clips ranging from strange UFO sightings to clips of cryptids we never even thought could exist. Ready to have your mind blown? Well, let's dive right in. What do you see when you look at these images? For many in the paranormal community, this is him, the big guy, Bigfoot. But what's the history behind these photographs? Well, these come all the way from Portland. The photos were shared online by a man who didn't take them. I know that's confusing, but hear me out. He was exploring the forest when he came across an abandoned or perhaps lost camera. He kept it with him for some days, but no one mentioned they had lost a camera. Curious to see what was on it, he developed the images, and what you see on your screen is what came up. I know what some of you are thinking, it might be an ape, but according to the man, there are no native apes in that region that could look like anything that we see. This made it conclude that it had to be a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. While many in the community are excited by this, a number of them are calling it fake. They find the story and the circumstances within which the photographs were found and uploaded too, coincidental to believe. But you've seen them, so what do you think? Governments around the world have been implementing various measures. Some seem beneficial, while others are more controversial. But how do we truly know which ones are good or not? Recently, someone captured footage of a helicopter pouring a dark substance onto the earth. The video was taken during sunset, making it difficult to determine exactly what was being released. It's likely some kind of chemical, but for what purpose? Speculation has been running wild, with some believing it could be a new disease being released into the atmosphere. This theory was fueled by ongoing concerns about population control and secret experiments. However, one commenter suggested that this isn't a chemical at all, but rather genetically engineered mosquitoes. A few years ago, the US initiated a project to create genetically modified mosquitoes resistant to malaria. The goal was to help control the spread of the disease, which in theory would be beneficial to humanity. If this footage does show the release of these modified insects, it could be part of that effort. But at the end of the day, all we can do is speculate. The truth will only be known by those behind the operation. Here we have a bizarre sighting in the sky that quickly made its way online. A family woke up to these strange and almost deliberate patterns stretched across the sky. Unlike typical cloud formations, these weren't random or wispy. They appeared structured, almost like symbols arranged in vertical streaks. If you look closely, it almost resembles some kind of message, but not one written in any human language we recognize. Now, we all know that alien conspiracy theories are becoming more intriguing by the day. Strange objects, unexplained phenomena, etc. And while the government remains tight-lipped, sightings like these only add more fuel to the fire. So what are we looking at here? Is this an encoded message from something or someone beyond our world? Experts in Morse code should attempt to decipher this just in case. A family went on a camping trip, enjoying a peaceful night around a bonfire. They had their folding chairs set up, chatting, laughing, and snapping pictures to capture the memories. It was just a regular night, or so they thought. Later, when they looked back at the photographs, they noticed something eerie. In 3 different pictures on one of the empty folding chairs, there appeared to be a flame-like almost transparent figure sitting cross-legged. The shape was distinct and it looked just like a person. Seeing the images left them shocked and a little unsettled. Was this the spirit of a past family member, or perhaps an unrelated ghost that simply wanted to join in on the fun? Whatever it was, one thing is clear: they weren't alone that night. While exploring a cave, someone noticed something strange lurking through an opening in the rock. It was massive, like a giant spider. Luckily, whatever it was didn't seem to react to his presence, allowing him to capture a short video before he decided to get out of there as fast as possible. But what exactly was this spider-like creature? We often hear stories about cave monsters, strange beings hidden in the depths of the earth. But what if these aren't just legends? What if these creatures have been living in the shadows for centuries, undiscovered by modern science? Could there be an entire species lurking in the depths, waiting to be found? Oh, and before I move on to the next, some members of the community believe it's nothing more than a coconut crab. If any of you are familiar with the species, and this is indeed them, please do enlighten us in the comments section. A mother was casually flipping through her son's school photographs when something strange caught her eye. It was a picture of the school team, a typical group shot with the boys posing for the camera. But there was something off. Take a close look at the boy in the middle. Just behind him, at neck level, there's a face, a very pale face. Only one eye and a portion of the forehead are visible peeking out from behind the boy. The eerie part is that this figure appears much smaller than the others, as if it's too short to be standing with them or perhaps not there at all. The mother, understandably shaken, immediately called her son over. She asked if she knew who this was, but he had no idea. In fact, he was certain there was no one standing behind him when the photograph was taken. Could this be the spirit of a former student? A child who once walked these halls but never truly left? Many believe so. While we have no idea if a boy passed away on the team, the eerie presence in the image has left people wondering if the camera captured something beyond our understanding. The one who filmed this was out on a nature walk by a beautiful riverbank when it suddenly started to rain. He took shelter under a tree, waiting for the rain to pass, when he noticed something unusual. Across the river, in a forested area, there was an opening between the trees. Through that opening, he spotted something strange moving deeper into the woods. It was black, round, and puffy. This is definitely not something you could immediately identify as a known animal. Some viewers suggested it might just be a person in a tent walking by, but the clip was too short to say for sure. Others thought it could be a dark-furred wild animal, but the rounded shape made that seem unlikely. One interesting suggestion was that it could be a turkey, and honestly, looking at the shape, that does seem like a possibility. But what do you think? Out in Oregon, a man stumbled upon something that sent chills down his spine. Across the river, moving through the dense forest, was this figure. It was tall and broad and unmistakably covered in thick hair. A classic Bigfoot sighting. Oregon is no stranger to Bigfoot encounters. It's one of the most well-known hotspots for sightings. So when something like this happens, it's hard to dismiss it as just another hoax. But here's where things get interesting. Take a look at the creature's arms. They're unusually long, extending well past the knees. That's a key trait often used to distinguish alleged real sightings from people in costumes. Then notice the posture. It's slightly hunched. These are details the paranormal community believes to be telltale signs of an authentic Bigfoot encounter. In other words, they believe this is the real deal. What say you? Portals are an age-old topic in the paranormal community. Many believe that certain events throughout history have triggered the opening of mysterious gateways all over the world, possibly explaining the frequent extraterrestrial sightings we hear about. Now, imagine taking a quiet drive at night when suddenly you notice something like this in the sky. For this driver, it was no imagination, as that's exactly what happened. He did see this faint circular ring hovering above. From his perspective, only the side of the ring was visible, but it was unmistakably there, slowly rotating in the sky. At first glance, skeptics dismissed it as nothing more than a reflection on the car window. But watch closely as the ring moves past a building and then reappears on the other side, proving it wasn't just a simple glare. Some suggest it might just be an unusual cloud formation, but a cloud this faint, almost transparent, that's a rare sight indeed. Could this be evidence of a portal forming in the night sky, or is there a more rational explanation? What do you think? Have you ever seen something like this? The individual who recorded this clip did so because, from his perspective, he felt like the moon was moving or shifting positions in the sky. He then decided to record, and surely enough, it was the same. This is not typical moon behavior, so what exactly is going on here? Well, there's actually a logical explanation for this phenomenon, and it's known as the parallax effect. And yes, Julius did school me on this one. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Now, back to the phenomenon. The parallax effect occurs when an object appears to move due to a shift in the observer's perspective. This happens when viewing a distant object like the moon against a closer background. As the person filming moves their camera, the perspective changes, making it seem as if the moon itself is shifting positions. So while it may look like the moon is behaving strangely, it's actually just a trick of the eyes caused by the camera's movement. At least, that's what Julius says. Pretty fascinating, right?
Don't look at me like that. On to the next.
This was supposed to be an ordinary video of a guy taking a walk down a quiet street with trees on both sides while casually filming and talking about a few things. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, as he pans his camera around, he catches something. Right between the trees, barely visible in the shadows, there's this odd figure, tall, dark, and broad-shouldered. At first glance, it really looks like a Bigfoot. The guy himself didn't even notice it, he was walking too fast. But when he posted the video, people watching started pointing it out. They started analyzing every frame. So let's take a closer look. Yeah, it's definitely a dark figure. You can see what looks like arms, a body, maybe even a head. But here's the thing, the figure isn't moving, and if you really look at it, the shape starts to seem less like a Sasquatch and more like, well, just a tree stump. After a few hours of debating, this was the conclusion the paranormal community came to. A tree stump. What do you guys think? A woman was parked in a lot when she noticed something deeply unsettling in one of the nearby cars. Right there, in the front passenger seat, was a pale face staring directly at her. It had hollow, dark eyes, its expression eerily still. The sight sent chills down her spine. Panicked, she quickly pulled out her phone to record before getting out of there, and honestly, just take a look at this thing. There's something undeniably haunting about it. The internet was divided on what this is. Some were convinced this was some kind of entity, perhaps a ghostly figure lurking in the car watching her. Others, however, had a more rational take, suggesting that it could simply be a face mask propped up or even a person wearing one still sitting still. What do you think? Recently, a homeowner caught something strange on their security camera. The camera was facing the empty front yard in the middle of the night. It was drizzling at the time, and you can even see the raindrops falling. Everything looked normal. And then this happened. Two glowing orbs appeared, floating low to the ground. As they moved across the camera's view, the lens suddenly became foggy, almost as though something was interfering with it. Just as quickly as the orbs disappeared, the camera cleared up again. The homeowner was stunned. The orbs can clearly be seen moving by, and only when they appear does the camera fog up. This is what people have been debating. Some say it was just water droplets causing the light to distort, but rain doesn't just instantly clear up like that. Others believe the fogging was caused by the orbs themselves, like they were some kind of entity trying to hide from the camera. Both arguments seem possible, but which one is it? If you've been here for a while, you would have heard us speak about this. A woman was home at night, just hanging out with her dog, when she decided to take a video. That's when she noticed it. In her phone's camera, clear as day, there was a dark figure standing in the open doorway. When she looked with her own eyes, there was no one there. Freaking out, she called someone on a video call, and that's when it got even weirder. The person on the other end could see the figure too. A humanoid shape, almost like someone in a hooded jacket, just standing there watching. But in real life, there was no one. As bizarre as the experience was, she's not the only one to have experienced something like this. Different individuals shared their very own experiences in the comments section of her post. One person even mentioned how a shadow person followed her mother for her entire life. According to the individual, her mom always saw a shadow man standing at the foot of her bed no matter where she lived. The shadow being never moved and never spoke. It always just stood there in complete darkness, always watching. Shadow people aren't new to the paranormal community, but no one really knows what they are. Some say they're harmless, others believe they feed on fear. Some also believe that they are some sort of guardian. The truth is, no one knows for sure. Have you noticed how there's so much alien talk lately? Last year, the US reported multiple sightings of UFOs and UAPs, and suddenly, more and more people started believing that maybe, just maybe, aliens are real. But what if this was all just staged? People seem to have forgotten about Project Bluebeam. It's a long-standing conspiracy theory that claims that the government might one day use advanced hologram technology to fake major supernatural events. We're talking massive projections in the sky of strange creatures, UFOs, and even the arrival of a religious figure, something that could shake the world to its core. And why would they do this? According to the theory, it's all about control. If they could create mass hysteria and convince people that an alien invasion or divine event was happening, then they could use the fear to unite the world under a new global order. One government, one currency, complete control. Now, let's put this together. People keep seeing these flying objects and calling them UFOs, but what if they're just drones and these crafts we keep spotting in the sky are actually part of Project Bluebeam, which is slowly being introduced to prepare us for something bigger? Perhaps it's already happening. And the idea of an alien invasion isn't just gaining traction by chance, but because it's being planted in our minds through media, leaks, and staged events. Just think about it. A woman was on a late-night drive when she decided to pull over near a playground to rest for a moment. But as she sat in the car, something strange caught her eye. Two swings in the distance were swaying side by side. At first it seemed like the wind, but as she looked closer, she noticed something odd. The trees around the playground were completely still. There was no breeze, and yet the swings, especially the one on the right, moved with an eerie, deliberate motion, almost as if something unseen was pushing them. She pulled out her phone to record, and the footage only made things creepier. The swing wasn't just swaying randomly, it moved with purpose, like someone or something was sitting on it. Locals in the area say this isn't the first time. Others who have visited this very playground have reported the same thing about the swings moving on their own. Could it just be an illusion, or is there something truly lingering here, unseen but very much present? Take a good look at this sky. You see it, don't you? Just behind the clouds, a glowing ring of orbs hovering in a perfect circle. But that wasn't the weirdest part. As she watched, the orbs shifted colors, flickering between shades, and then suddenly the entire shape changed. It was massive, too big to be a drone or any ordinary aircraft. Some believe this could be an alien mothership cloaked behind the clouds. Others argue it could be a natural phenomenon or even an edited video. But if this was just a trick of the light, why does it look so structured, so intentional? And what could cause something to change both color and shape mid-air like that? There have been enough movies about creatures like this that I wouldn't normally do a double take, but this video, this one caught my attention. While at the beach, someone noticed something strange in the sand, a tiny crab struggling and trapped in a thick black goo. But here's the unsettling part. This goo looked alive. As the crab desperately tries to escape, the black substance moves, deliberately shifting to cover the crab. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Life, but this immediately reminded me of the Calvin creature. It looked like some kind of parasite, something aware, something trying to latch onto the crab. But why? What was this thing?
Maybe this is some kind of crab STD. I mean, humans catch crabs. Maybe crabs catch goo. Ugh.
This footage was shared by a man who had visited a neighborhood in Mexico. Late at night, he noticed something unusual in the sky. There was a bright light hovering above the area, and from it, faint crafts seemed to be emerging one by one. Looking closely, it appeared as though these objects were coming directly from the light itself. The man was stunned by what he was witnessing. But for some, this wasn't entirely shocking. This particular neighborhood is home to a woman who is believed to have had contact with extraterrestrials. Many locals claim that a portal exists in the area, possibly due to her contact. What you're seeing in the footage is believed by some to be that very portal, an entry point from which UFOs are emerging. Did this hiker just get one of the clearest shots of Bigfoot ever? A man was out hiking near Priest Lake, Idaho, when he decided to stop and take a few pictures before heading back. That's when he noticed something moving through the trees. At first, he wasn't sure what he was looking at, so he started recording, and then this thing emerged. It was huge. The creature walked casually through the trees, completely unaware that it was being filmed. And from what we can see, it looked to be around 7 to 8 feet tall, covered in dark fur, and slightly hunched over. With each step, you can hear a loud crunching as it moves across the forest floor. Now, usually when people claim to see Bigfoot, the footage is either too blurry, too shaky, or they're just too scared to film at all. But this guy, he stood just a few feet away and managed to capture a clear shot of the creature. So what do you think? Could this finally be real proof of Bigfoot? Children can be very observant. Sometimes they notice things that adults completely miss. A man was taking out the trash when he noticed his young son, a little toddler, standing in front of a large mirror waving at it. At first, he thought nothing of it, but something about the way the child was interacting with the mirror felt odd. So out of curiosity, he pulled out his phone and started recording, then he left. It wasn't until later, while reviewing the footage, that he saw it. As his son turned away from the mirror, he briefly pointed at it, watching closely right where the little boy points. There. For just a second, a faint ghostly face appears in the reflection. It had hollow black eyes and a pale, eerie expression. It's subtle, almost easy to miss, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's as if the child noticed something his father couldn't see and was trying to tell his dad that someone was there. The man was completely shaken by what he captured. There are countless mysteries hidden in the depths of the ocean, but this was not something I ever expected. A diver was deep underwater when he came across something terrifying. At first, he thought he was about to fight for his life. Staring back at him was a massive shark, its mouth wide open, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Its hollow, lifeless eyes made the sight even more chilling. But then, he realized something strange. The shark wasn't moving, it wasn't even alive. It was a statue. Who put it there? How did it end up resting in the middle of the ocean? No one knows for sure, but I'll tell you this, if I ever saw something like this while diving, I'd probably pass out right there in the water. Someone in my team mentioned Atlantis, but that's a topic I'll touch on later. Someone came across this bizarre sight. It was a frozen lake with a near-perfect circle cut into the ice. But that's not all. The circular chunk of ice wasn't just sitting there, it was slowly rotating, as if something had carefully carved it out and set it in motion. It looks too perfect to be natural and too precise to be random. Some say it's just ice shifting, a rare weather thing, but others, well, they bring up all those old conspiracy theories, secret experiments, hidden tech, maybe even something not from here. This isn't the first time strange circles have shown up where they shouldn't. So the real question is, what cut the disc out of the lake, and do we even want to know? And if you live near those regions and it's nothing to worry about, please let us know. Julius refused to comment on this one. This plane was captured in the sky, stuck in place. Most of the time when people share footage of planes stuck in the air, it's explained away as an optical illusion, often caused by the angle of recording. But in this case, the plane appears completely still, and the only movement comes from the shaky camera itself. So what are we looking at? A strange atmospheric phenomenon? A glitch in reality? Or is there a logical explanation that we just haven't figured out yet?
Hello?
Can I have a cake, Mom?
What the There's the second one right there. Hello?
A mother was home alone after her kids had gone to school when she started hearing strange noises coming from upstairs. It was coming from her child's room. Curious and a little uneasy, she went to check it out and found that the noise was coming from a walkie-talkie she got for her child. As she picked it up, she heard a voice on the other end. Someone was speaking. She hesitated, then said, "Hello?" A child's voice responded, "Can I have a kiss, Mom?" These days, modern kids' walkie-talkies sometimes come with pre-recorded sounds or automated responses when you press a button. But the thing is, she hadn't pressed anything. One commenter pointed out that children's walkie-talkies often don't use private frequencies, meaning anyone could be on the other end, listening or worse, communicating. So who was it on the other end?
Hello?
Can I have a kiss, Mom?
What the
This image you're looking at is from Google Maps. A young man decided to look up his mother's old house on the app, just out of curiosity. But when the satellite image loaded, what he saw left him completely shaken. In the front yard, there was a woman with blonde hair standing behind a parked vehicle. Only her head was visible, just peeking over the top. At first, he thought nothing of it until he realized something impossible. His mother had passed away 12 years ago. According to Google Maps, this image was taken only 2 years ago. That didn't add up. The only explanation he could think of was that maybe his mother had a twin he never knew about, but if that wasn't the case, then this could be his mother's ghost or something of the sort.
Better for you option, and it tastes delicious. Drink Prime.
Prime, they've just come under a lawsuit because they were finding thousands and thousands of times the amount of microplastics in the actual drink. And what do the microplastics and PFAs, what does that do to the body?
It destroys it. It causes inflammation. It causes neuroendocrine disruptors. It eventually will lead to death. And the more you consume, the quicker that rate is.
Over the years, we've seen a lot of influencers and YouTubers blow up in fame, and from that, many start their own businesses. They sell everything from makeup to supplements, food, and drinks. Back in 2022, Logan Paul, a massive YouTuber, teamed up with KSI, another popular influencer, to launch Prime Energy drinks. The brand took off fast, with their fans being younger audiences rushing to buy it. But now, Prime is being sued for $5 million over claims that the drink contains dangerously high levels of microplastics. Just in case you didn't know, microplastics are harmful chemicals that, over time, can seriously mess with your health and even kill you. And the scariest part, this drink was mainly pushed to kids and teenagers who saw their favorite influencers hyping it up. So now people are asking, how many kids have unknowingly been put at risk because of this drink? Did Logan Paul and KSI really know what was in it?
Prime, they've just come under a lawsuit because they were finding thousands and thousands of times the amount of microplastics in the actual drink. And what do the microplastics and PFAs, what does that do to the body?
It destroys it. It causes inflammation. It causes neuroendocrine disruptors. It eventually will lead to death. And the more you consume, the quicker that rate is.
Personally, I think the world should stop being so busy celebrating mediocrity and be careful about who we call influencers.
These days, anytime we see something strange in the sky, people are quick to call it a UFO. This video was taken in Germany. Someone spotted a glowing red orb just hovering in the sky. It stayed there for a while before suddenly vanishing. Of course, most people immediately called it a UFO. But let's think about this differently for a second. Not saying UFOs aren't real, but what if this wasn't one? What if it's actually a flare from a flare gun? Maybe someone was in trouble and fired it into the sky, hoping for help. And instead of anyone rushing to check it out, everyone just sat back filming it, convinced they're witnessing aliens. If that's the case, I wouldn't want to be that person, but you have to ask, how do we navigate this phase where you can never be sure what you are dealing with?
Hello? What the Yep, nope, I'm good.
While hiking in the woods, a man stumbled upon this hole in the ground surrounded by scattered bones and animal antlers. It was an unsettling sight on its own. But what truly sent chills down his spine was the faint echo of a voice calling for help from within the hole. Curious, yet cautious, he called out, "Hello?" but got no response. To test if there was someone inside, he picked up a small bone and threw it into the hole. But within seconds, something threw the bone right back at him. That was enough for him. He turned and ran, his heart pounding with fear. But what could have been down there? Who had the strength and awareness to toss the bone back? Some in the paranormal community believe this could be the lair of a Wendigo, a creature from Native American folklore said to inhabit the deep woods and feed on the lost and unsuspecting. Was this just an eerie coincidence, or did he really come close to a Wendigo?
What the Yep, nope, I'm good.
A resident in Pennsylvania was out for a late-night walk when he started hearing this deep, vibrating sound coming from the sky.
Oh my God.
It was loud, almost like a low-frequency hum that you could feel in your chest, so he looked up. The sound was coming from something up there, but couldn't actually see it. The only sign that anything was there at all was a blinking light. Now, a lot of people tried to explain it away. Some said it was just a plane or a helicopter, but the sound was way too deep and heavy for that. Others suggested it could have been a drone. There's a lot of advanced drone tech floating around these days. But here's what makes it really strange. After a while, the light faded. Not like they flew off into the distance, but they disappeared entirely. And with them, the sound faded too, like whatever it was just blinked out of existence. So was this just some secret tech being tested, or did this guy just witness something we weren't supposed to see? This woman was just filming a vlog outside her house. Nothing out of the ordinary, but as she panned the camera over the area, something chilling appeared in the footage. At the top of the house, through a window, you can see a pale figure. A woman in a white dress, dark hair falling over her face, just standing there. Now here's where it gets even creepier. This was not just any vlogger. This was Ruby Frank, a well-known YouTuber and influencer. She built a huge following with her family vlogs, but later she became infamous and arrested for abusing her children, starving them and causing them serious harm. So when people saw this figure in her video, speculation went wild. Some thought it could have been one of her daughters trapped there. Others believe it was something else entirely, like a ghost tied to the house. Whatever it was left people seriously unsettled. Back in 1959, a man named R.S. Blance visited Coober Rock in Australia. While there, he took a lot of photos, but after he developed them at home, he noticed something strange, something he hadn't seen at the time of taking the pictures. In one of the images, a translucent figure appeared. It looked like a woman in a long, flowing white dress. Blance was shocked because there was no one else there when he took the photograph. Coober Rock is a sacred site in Australia, and over the years, people have had different interpretations of the ghostly figure. Some believe she resembles a native woman, while others say she looks like a bride. Some even think she is an ancient spirit watching over the land. And with these things, we can never really confirm it. One thing we can confirm is that ever since the photo was released, she has come to be known as the Watcher of Coober Rock.
Have you heard about the eerie incident that recently occurred in Istanbul? The whole city plunged into darkness during the day, and not for just a moment, but a whopping 5 minutes. And that's not the most bizarre of things that day. It turns out the whole thing was caused by a giant black cloud measuring a whopping 10 kilometers in size. How often do you see that? What on earth could cause such a mysterious blackout? Well, there are several factors that could potentially lead to a temporary blockage of sunlight, such as an unusual weather phenomenon, environmental factors, or even a large object passing in front of the sun. This appears to be one of those situations. That's assuming the whole thing is real and not a hoax. The mysterious and often perplexing question of what awaits us after death has fueled human curiosity for centuries. This next clip was captured by a hospital ward security camera. In it, we see a sick woman lying in her bed when a sudden and unexplained event takes place. A glowing arm extends toward her. For the family, this glowing arm wasn't just an ordinary phenomenon. They interpret this luminous arm as that of an angel, a celestial being that has come to guide the departed soul to its next destination, a realm often associated with notions of heaven and religious beliefs. Looking at this, everything within my gut says otherwise, but who am I to argue with the grieving family? But do indulge me. What are your thoughts on this? Check out this incredible scene at the Sarangani Province Island Beach Resort in Masim, Philippines. A crowd is gathered at the shore. But why? Well, the fishes in the sea were swimming out onto the shore. As you can see, people are loading up large baskets of fish right there. This is very puzzling. Fishes are creatures of the sea, right? Seeing them voluntarily swim ashore is like a fishy version of a red carpet event. It's usually not their style, considering it often means, well, not great things for them. So the big question is, what could have spooked these fishes out of their comfort zone into the land and hands of humans? Still on strange finds, take a look at this one.
That's what I thought it was the first time that I saw this the other day. I mean, it's out literally in the middle of nowhere, under this big oak.
A man found a hole under an oak tree in the middle of nowhere. Curious, he decides to peek in using his camera, and once he does, he discovers a flight of stairs leading further into it. So what does our brave explorer do? He descends into the unknown, and what he finds is downright perplexing. The stairs lead him into a tunnel, surprisingly lit with lights on the walls. You'd think this would be the sign to be cautious and return, but no, deeper and deeper he goes. And the odd thing is, it's just stairs, stairs, and more stairs. The temperature drops as he ventures further until he reaches a colossal ancient-looking door, which is where our clip ends. What could he have discovered? Could it be some sort of facility or something more? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. In Germany, a peculiar incident was captured on camera as a blue ray of light descended from the sky. The phenomenon occurred against the backdrop of the night sky, with the ray shooting down toward Earth. Some viewers suggested that it could be a directed energy weapon, a type of weapon that directs concentrated energy toward a target. The technology is often associated with advanced military systems and considered classified. Thankfully, though, this footage managed to make its way into the public domain. In the footage, we see it pointed to an area with houses all around. If this theory is to be believed, that thing is dangerous and human lives are at risk. The footage, however, shows no sign of chaos or destruction. Either it's not fired yet or the theory is wrong. If it's wrong, then the next theory is that it could be a laser from quantum satellite communication research. There are also some who think it's neither of these and it's simply a part of Project Bluebeam. What do you think? This unsuspecting man's encounter with a furry intruder turned out to be a hilarious mix-up. Never did I ever think I would call such an encounter hilarious. But enjoy.
Fucking raccoons. Getting in my trash can. Oh my god, that's a bear.
A man heard some noises outside his house where the trash cans were. Thinking it was a raccoon, he went out to confront the animal, but to his surprise, it was a bear rummaging through the garbage. Reacting swiftly, he hurried back indoors, realizing that dealing with a bear was an entirely different situation. I can only imagine the mixture of surprise, amusement, and perhaps a hint of terror at that moment. It's a classic case of mistaken identity. Nature has its way of reminding us of who truly rules the backyard, and from this footage, we can clearly see that mankind is merely a steward. Here's to our trash panda friend creating chaos and providing a good chuckle in the process. Have you ever had unexpected wildlife encounters in your backyard? Please share. A jewelry maker had a customer return a ring and ask for some changes because it didn't fit. Now, when the ring was returned, it came along with this strange-looking container. He doesn't know what this thing is, and that's not even the problem here. Take a look at this. When he opens the container, the camera becomes all grainy, but when he closes it, it goes back to normal. What does that mean? Some viewers say that there could be some sort of radiation emanating from the container. What do you guys think? If you haven't already hit the like button, subscribed, or even dropped a comment so far, could you please do so now? It goes a long way to help us make more of these videos for you. Thank you so much. Now, back to today's episode. Our next clip takes us along the borders of Kazakhstan, where a group of individuals stumbled upon a cave that has since been causing quite a stir. Take a look. Do you hear the strange noise coming from the cave? It sounds like a roar, yet it has this electronic mod to it. Take a listen. Did you hear that? Now, name an animal that sounds like that. I bet you can't. Now, what makes this even spookier is the fact that the cave's entrance is sealed tight with massive rocks. Whatever is in there was definitely intentionally kept there. The question is, why? Some think it might be a monster, while others think it might be some secret doomsday weapon. Then there's Julius, our know-it-all, who thinks this is nothing more than a hoax. Personally, I agree with him. But what do you think? Encounters with wildlife, especially bears, can be unpredictable and potentially dangerous, and this footage highlights it better than most. Our hiker here was attacked by a bear cub. Fortunately for him, he knew what to do and screamed. He also had a stick, which he attempted to use in scaring the bear away, but this creature did not budge. The little guy rather pounced at the hiker and caught the stick between its jaws. It took the hiker a while to get the cub to leave him alone, but he eventually did. It's essential for individuals exploring areas inhabited by wildlife to be aware of the potential risks so they can take appropriate precautions. Maintaining a safe distance and avoiding confrontation is crucial when dealing with wild animals, especially mothers with cubs, as they can be protective and territorial. Let's just say this man is lucky Mama Bear was not around, because if she was, this may have been another kind of video, if you know what I mean. Our next mysterious footage was captured in Scotland, where the forest ground appears to be undulating, almost as if it were breathing. This has left viewers both fascinated and perplexed. The video was recorded after Storm Babette, which brought strong winds to the area and introduces a possible link between the weather conditions and a peculiar phenomenon observed in the forest. Look at how the dog was effortlessly lifted when it stood on the moving earth. This is so strange. Some speculate that the storm's impact on the soil and trees contributed to this unusual movement, creating a visual illusion reminiscent of breathing. Some even took a more fantastical approach, saying that the forest is a sleeping giant. reminds me of the sleeping giant seen from Puss in Boots. In folklore and mythology, various cultures have ascribed spiritual or sentient qualities to nature. The concept of a sleeping giant, in this case, suggests that the forest possesses a dormant or slumbering essence, awakening in a manner reminiscent of breathing. But having seen it with your own eyes, what do you think this could be?
You say hi? No? You don't want to say hi? What was that?
A woman and her child were walking on a trail when they heard a loud shriek that seems to come out of nowhere. The child, who was sitting on the ground, even heard it and began to crawl away. In another encounter, a hiker on a lonely trail heard a strange shrieking sound that started from a distance but kept getting closer.
And I keep hearing that same scream. Here it is again.
The suspected cryptid? The Skinwalker. For those who don't know, Skinwalkers are a fascinating and mysterious part of Navajo legend that has captured the imagination of people worldwide. These creatures are known for their mischievous behavior and their ability to transform into any animal they desire. They're also known to be dangerous, and it's said that they can cause harm to those who cross their path. According to Navajo tradition, the only way to kill a Skinwalker is with a bullet dipped in white ash. Despite their fictional origins, many people believe that Skinwalkers are real, and there have been numerous sightings and encounters reported throughout the years. Some people claim to have heard strange sounds in the woods, such as loud shrieks and eerie howls that they believe are the calls of Skinwalkers. Others have reported seeing shadowy figures lurking in the darkness or even encountering animals that seem to possess an uncanny intelligence and an otherworldly aura. While some people are convinced that these encounters are proof of the existence of Skinwalkers, others are more skeptical. Some argue that the sounds captured on camera could be the calls of ordinary animals or even fake sounds created to attract attention.
It's definitely not a bird or some kind of animal.
Clones have been one of the most talked about conspiracies when it comes to government cover-ups. It's a popular belief among the masses that the government creates clones of people in high positions for reasons unknown to the public. Additionally, there are also claims that celebrities are cloned as well. Now, I know you might have come across this footage several times, but let's revisit it. For those who don't know anything about it, this was taken during Katy Perry's concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. In the clip, we can see that she's on stage staring at her audience while they cheered. This iconic moment is, however, interrupted by her eyes glitching. One began to open and close uncontrollably like you typically see with a broken Barbie doll. Realizing this, she touched her temple ever so slightly and the twitching stopped. This is not normal human function, and people had a lot to say about it. While many insisted she had to be a clone, there were some who thought she might be unwell. One user pointed out the possibility of stroke, but a lot more subscribed to the idea of her being a clone of the original. Now, what do you make of it? Was this a genuine case of human cloning, or is this something else entirely?
Make even more noise for my band.
This man was cruising alone, filming himself, when suddenly a massive creature appeared in the water. And I'm not talking about your average fish here. We are talking big, like really big. Encountering a large creature in the water during a boat ride can be both thrilling and unnerving. When you are, however, not sure of what you're dealing with, it can be alarming, and that was the case of the man in question. He couldn't help but wonder if he had encountered an anaconda or another colossal aquatic being. For those unfamiliar with them, anacondas are large, non-venomous snakes that are known for their impressive size and strength. They're often found in aquatic habitats, which makes it possible that he had actually encountered one. In such a scenario, it's important to exercise caution and ensure safety. No unnecessary actions that will endanger you. While anacondas are generally not aggressive towards humans, it's essential to avoid provoking or approaching them closely. An anaconda sounds exciting, but is it really one though? What are your thoughts? A man while at the beach at an unknown location was live on social media when this happened. He saw this massive creature in the sea. Estimated to be between 20 to 25 feet in length, the creature was seen swimming toward the beach. The waves somehow appeared to act as a barrier, preventing it from getting too close to the shore. The situation drew the attention of the police, who arrived at the scene along with a gathering of curious onlookers. The sheer size of the creature has left many intrigued. Some propose that it could be a species of shark or whale, while others think it might just be another species that's less commonly seen near the shore. However, without additional details about the location and the more detailed analysis of the footage, it remains challenging to definitely identify the sea creature. There's bound to be someone here who knows what this is. If that's you, please do educate us in the comments section. We'll be reading. On April the 8th, an eclipse occurred that brought about a lot of speculation and theories, some of which were quite intriguing. One particular case that caught the attention of many was the footage that a man shared.
Listen to me. I'm sitting in my house, right? You see me make a video of somebody or something in the sun. It's a clear day. It's after April the 8th. After the eclipse, so I'm coming out here.
The video was captured on April the 12th, a few days after the eclipse, and featured the sun shining brightly. However, the peculiar aspect of the video was that behind the sun, a strange figure was visible. The figure appeared to be a person walking behind the sun. The video raised many questions and left people wondering what was going on up there. As soon as the footage was shared in the paranormal community, a lot of people dismissed it as a hoax and made fun of the whole situation. However, a few people were still pretty curious about what this could be. It was in the midst of this confusion that the theories started pouring in. One theorized that we may be in the fourth dimension. According to him, this has slowly been happening since 2020. One of the most popular theories, however, was that the whole thing was nothing more than an illusion created by Project Bluebeam. Those who pushed this theory had one lingering question. What could be the motive behind such a projection? This is a question no one had answers to, so Bluebeam Tech, a shift to the fourth dimension, and a possible hoax. What's your pick? What do you guys have in mind when you think about creation? Mostly people link creation to their religion. Most religions believe that there is a God who made all this. Others also believe in the Big Bang, evolution, and a whole lot. During an interview, this man gave an interesting take on how humans were created. Take a listen.
I saw one guy that was like, I referred to him as the keeper of the DNA. Somebody way up the ladder in the Galactic Command Center that had a vault of DNA. And so they'd go, we got a planet that's this far from the sun, the gravity is this, the oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen level is this. And he could take DNA off the shelf and say, okay, we'll make a creature that will live there. And then they'd introduce it. And that was his job, to have the mixture for the right conditions, or to create the conditions on the planet, terraform the planet. That guy moved me when I was looking at him. I got real emotional, like, wow, this is very powerful. I'm really honored.
Did you hear that? So this man is a remote viewer. For those who may not be familiar with the term, a remote viewer is someone who practices remote viewing. Remote viewing is a technique that involves using extrasensory perception to gain information that is not accessible through normal sensory channels. It essentially allows a person to see or perceive things beyond the physical limitations of their body. To do this, the viewer uses various techniques to enter a relaxed or altered state of consciousness, such as meditation or visualization. On one such trip, this man says he meets a man in the Galactic Command Center who has a vault of DNA, including humans, and made us fit the resources that Earth has to provide. Now that is an interesting take on creation, unless of course you don't believe in the ESP stuff and think he's basically just daydreaming.
I saw one guy that was like, I referred to him as the keeper of the DNA.
Buckle up for a celestial mystery straight from a road trip. Imagine catching a stunning sunset on camera only to realize you've got not one, but two suns stealing the limelight. Double trouble or double wonder. You decide. That's what happened to the one who captured this, but as you can see, one was orange and the other was a white orb with an orange hue around it. Beyond these basic descriptions, there are some who noticed a few things that could explain this. One observation was that it was a reflection. You can see because of the power lines that go through it. Seeing this, some proposed that the whole thing could be attributed to a hypothetical Planet X, suggesting the celestial body getting closer. What do you also think? During a routine plane journey, a vigilant passenger observed a perplexing phenomenon through the aircraft's windows. A luminous, unidentified flying object caught his attention as it gracefully navigated beneath the plane's wing. According to him, this went on for at least 10 minutes until, in an unexpected turn, the UFO initiated a deceleration and gradually descended until it eventually disappeared into the vast expanse of the sky. What are your thoughts on this mysterious encounter? Do you lean toward a more conventional explanation or find yourself intrigued by the possibility of otherworldly phenomena sharing the airspace with commercial flights? Tell us in the comments section. If you haven't already hit the like button, subscribed, or even dropped a comment so far, could you please do so now? It goes a long way to help us make more videos like this for you. Thank you so much. Now back to today's episode.
The car is in the middle of the lake. And there are people in the car.
Technology is advancing at an incredible pace, but who would have thought? Cars driving through lakes and rivers? Amazing, isn't it? The person filming the car was taking a hike when he chanced on a family in a car that was in the middle of a lake. At first, he thought the car was sinking until he noticed how calm the people in the car were. The car is called the Yangtze River N8, or simply U8, and it is an electric vehicle made in China. The U8 has a limited ability to sail on water, and this feature is primarily intended for emergencies such as flash floods or unexpected water crossings. The U8 is equipped with 4 water propellers, which allows it to move forward and steer in water. However, it's not recommended to use the car regularly in water, as it's primarily designed for land use. In fact, the U8 is actually a hybrid vehicle, which means it can run on both electricity and gasoline. It has a top speed of 60 kilometers an hour on land and 10 kilometers an hour on water. One of the comments in the comments section suggested that the water and lithium batteries could be dangerous, but in this case, it's highly unlikely. The U8 is designed with safety features to prevent water from getting into the battery compartment, and the battery is well protected. The U8 has undergone rigorous testing to ensure that it's safe to use in water. This is such a cool invention, don't you think?
Oh man, how cool it is. So what do you guys think?
Well, you may have seen it earlier tonight, a mysterious sight in the sky. In the last couple of hours, our newsroom has been flooded with messages asking,
humans tend to be highly observant beings, especially when it comes to phenomenon that we cannot explain. This is particularly true when it comes to sightings of unidentified flying objects, or UAPs. Recently, there was a lot of buzz around strange lights that were spotted in the sky over the United States. Many people were convinced that this was evidence of an alien spaceship, a UFO, or even a rocket launch. Naturally, this caused a great deal of concern and unease amongst the general public. To address these concerns, experts were called in to investigate the mysterious lights and provide an explanation. Thankfully, it was revealed that the lights were not what they seemed. They were the result of the launch of Starlink satellites by SpaceX. The strange appearance of the lights was due to a phenomenon known as the twilight effect. When a device is launched into space, it reflects sunlight from the other side of the atmosphere that still has light. This creates an ethereal, otherworldly appearance, particularly during twilight hours. So the strange light observed in the sky was not an alien spaceship or any other kind of unknown object. It was simply a satellite launched by SpaceX. Thankfully, we can rest easy knowing there was no cause for alarm or concern. The discovery of these mysterious tunnels around the world has sparked both curiosity and speculation. These enigmatic passageways, concealed in various forms, ranging from sewer-like openings to holes in city streets, have captured the attention of explorers and conspiracy theorists alike. Some explorers have stumbled upon fully furnished structures with electricity. The condition of these spaces varies, with some appearing untouched while others bear signs of abandonment. While some believe that these discoveries might be genuine underground utilities or storage spaces, others are very convinced that they belong to an interconnected subterranean world. That sounds exciting, but what are your thoughts on these underground mysteries? Do you think there's a vast network connecting them, or is it more likely a mix of utility tunnels and urban legends? This next footage was also taken by an unknown woman at an undisclosed location.
I'm not quite sure what this is about, but this cloud keeps flickering red.
In it, we see a specific section of the clouds illuminated in a vibrant red hue, prompting varied interpretations from viewers. Several netizens have put forth different explanations for the phenomenon. Some propose that the red glow could be a result of lights from buildings below reflecting on the clouds. On the other hand, a section of those who saw it propose another theory, suggesting that this occurrence might be linked to the oil industry. Specifically, some propose that it could be the result of flaring, the controlled burning of unwanted gas in oil fields, a practice that can cause clouds to glow. Conspiracy theories also make an appearance here, with claims ranging from chemical interventions to extraterrestrial involvement. To an extent, those sound far-fetched even for me, but what do you think?
Porque María vivió eso una vez, nene, ¿no? Eso se lleva todo. Y ahí le una bronca, y yo, y ahí le Marisa se me perdieron porque estaban por fuera y no las encontraba.
Some women were filming a tornado from a distance, and as you watch, you notice something unusual. The clouds have dipped down to touch the earth in the tornado's dance. Now, this is where things get a bit mysterious. There is a glow within the cloud tunnels. It's not your typical tornado viewing experience. Sure, we're accustomed to the ferocious winds and swirling clouds, but a mysterious glow within the funnel adds an unexpected layer to the spectacle. What could be the source of this mysterious glow within the tornado's embrace? Is it a play of light, a reflection, or something more enigmatic? I'll let you decide on this one. While sitting on the balcony at night, looking at the neighborhood outside, a woman noticed something strange. Now, it's a bit tricky to pin down exactly what this entity looks like because it's a blur as it zooms by. But here's where it gets wild. When it takes flight, you catch a glimpse of its shadow on the ground. It looks like a really large being with bird-like wings. What creature could that be? Is it a ghost, a manifestation from another realm lingering in the night sky? On the other hand, the description of a large being with bird-like wings brings to mind thoughts of the Mothman, a legendary and cryptic figure often linked to sightings of impending disaster. Could the weird creature in the capture be the Mothman? Aaron doubts it, but what do you think?
What the fuck is that?
In Melbourne, Australia, a contractor spotted this in the sky. It was a luminous orb in the sky. Seeing such a thing naturally made him curious, but it was not until he had captured the image and zoomed in that things took an unexpected turn. The revelation of what appeared to be a doorway on the luminous orb. As with any unexplained phenomena, speculations run wild. Some propose the idea of a blue beam projection, a technology that projects holographic images into the sky, while others delve into the possibility of a portal existing within the luminous orb. The concept of a portal suggests an opening to another dimension or realm, leaving the imagination to wonder what the potential destinations could be. Skeptics, on the other hand, consider the likelihood of the entire spectacle being carefully orchestrated hoax, a product of advanced technology or visual manipulation. What do you think?
That's crazy, man. What the fuck?
Next, we have footage from a trail camera that captured this strange creature, and people can't seem to figure out what the creature is. The creature in question has a pair of glassy, glowing eyes and a pig-like nose. Its skin is pale, and it has shoulders that look humanoid. The rest of its body is not captured by the camera lens, leaving it up to our imagination. Though we cannot make out the creature, people have come out with ideas, and the most recurring answer, Mothman. For those unfamiliar with him, the Mothman is a cryptid that gained notoriety in West Virginia during the 1960s. He's often described as a humanoid figure with large wings. While the image captured by the trail camera doesn't reveal the creature's wings or the lowest part of its body, the peculiar characteristics mentioned have sparked associations with Mothman. Personally, I really want the capture to be the Mothman, but then again, anything is possible these days, so I'd want your take on this as well. What do you think we're dealing with here? I know what you're thinking. They're aliens, right? And I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. I mean, look at them go. I doubt we have any aircraft in any known military force that moves like that. So are these really aliens? Well, there are some in our paranormal community that believe we may be looking at drones, but come on. These have to be crafts moving at high speeds, and given the way our human crafts are constructed and the way they move, I believe this is either something experimental or extraterrestrial. But let me know what you think. Aliens, military, drones, or something much more. Stepping away from the spooky clips, check out this heartwarming scene. Here we have a guy playing a game with his dog, and you won't believe what unfolds. The clever pup manages to choose the right bricks and takes home the win. It's a testament to how smart animals can be when they're given the right training. You can just imagine the effort this guy put into teaching his furry friend the ropes. It goes to show that even without sharing our language, the bond and understanding between humans and animals can create some truly adorable moments. Kudos to this dynamic duo. In this riveting footage, a group on a boat expedition through the forest stumble upon a celestial enigma. However, hovering in the skies was a dark ethereal mass reminiscent of smoke surrounded by a flurry of birds. The air was thick with intrigue, and the observers must have felt a shiver of awe and wonder. Could this mysterious floating entity be a natural phenomenon, a play of light and shadow, or does it harbor a more supernatural essence? Some might speculate on atmospheric conditions, while others might entertain the possibility of an otherworldly presence. What are your thoughts on this puzzling encounter? Smoke signals from the cosmos, or nature's dance of light and shade? We've got this clip that shows two moons in the sky. Initially, it looked like just a moon and a star, but as the person zoomed in, you noticed that the other smaller one was a crescent moon, but not as bright as the bigger one. This celestial mystery prompts a cascade of speculations and discussions amongst viewers, each grappling with the enigmatic nature of the phenomenon. The possibilities are as diverse as the interpretations, from atmospheric anomalies to potential celestial alignments. As we contemplate the celestial tapestry above, it becomes evident that the universe is an endless source of fascination and intrigue, always ready to challenge our understanding of the cosmos. Check out this mind-boggling security footage from a restaurant kitchen. This guy is trying to warm a meal with a torch, but it doesn't light. Look at what he does next. How is he doing that? This man's lighting fire with his finger to heat the meal. He then shakes his hands after he is done and walks out with a plate of food. What just happened? Is he a mutant like the Human Torch, or is he just firebending? The logical ones think this is nothing more than a hoax, but is it though? I guess we'll never find out. This footage is allegedly from the International Space Station. It captures a peculiar object zipping across the sky. The object in question is shaped like the letter V. This is very different from the strange crafts mostly seen in the sky. Some might throw around the idea of it being a drone, but that thing is colossal. To put it in perspective, it's as big as a passenger plane. Have you seen drones that size? I'm not so sure. So what are we gazing at here? Could it be a genuine, unidentified flying object, or is there a more down-to-earth explanation for this V-shaped space oddity? In this next footage, a group of men are seen holding a man down. The man appears to be struggling with them. It almost looks like he's floating in mid-air, but the men are holding him down. Immediate thoughts are towards the supernatural. Could this man be possessed or subject to some mysterious force? As our investigation lens delves deeper into the subject, a fascinating revelation emerges. It turns out that the initial perplexing scene is a result of clever video manipulation. The footage has been artfully reversed. The mysterious aura surrounding the situation dissipates as we uncover the meticulous editing that has taken place. I must say, they almost got me there. Whilst out with his kids, a man came across this, clouds on the ground. Now, I don't know how this is possible, but that's what we see. Strange, if you ask me. Naturally, when this popped up online, people were shocked, and that led to some rather interesting theories concerning the footage. Some thought it was part of a government spy aircraft cloud camouflage. Sounds crazy at first, but when you think about it, it's quite possible, wouldn't you agree? Some also proposed an alternative perspective, suggesting that it could be a byproduct of a toxic substance in the sky. This theory raises concerns about environmental and health implications if that's true, but there's no way of determining that now, is there? After all, some who saw it are dismissing the footage as a hoax, attributing the cloud-like formation to ordinary cotton. Yet upon closer scrutiny, the transparency of the anomaly challenges the notion that it could be a mere cotton formation. Could it be pure CGI, or is there something else at play here? I think I'll leave that up to you to decide. The owner of a mechanical shop was reviewing his surveillance camera feed when he noticed one of his workers standing outside and talking to thin air. The worker appeared to be having an intense conversation, which understandably made the owner feel uneasy. So he decided to call the worker to find out what was happening.
Estoy revisando por la cámara del taller y este maestro está hablando solo. Le voy a preguntar por cámara qué está haciendo. ¿Aló? Oye, disculpa, pero ¿con quién estás hablando? ¿Tú me estás hablando del accidente de anoche? Claro. Juan, me estáis huellando, ¿cierto? No, pues estoy con Don Carlos aquí, pues. Es que no estáis hablando con nadie, viejo. No puede ser, pues yo tengo el caballero aquí al frente mío, pues. No estás hablando con nadie, Juan, y ayer los que chocaron murieron todos. Juan, no estás con nadie, sube y ven a ver las cámaras, tengo todo grabado.
Yes, you heard that. The worker said he was talking to a customer who had an accident the previous night. At first, he even thought it was a prank, but the employee mentioning the accident made him realize that the person from the accident had died. After watching the video, I was curious and investigated whether anyone else had experienced something similar. It turns out a number of people have. Take a look at this confession. I believe it because the same thing happened to me in a cemetery. I was visiting my sister's grave who died at 16 years old. The cemetery was empty. Then all of a sudden, a man dressed in a suit and tie appeared out of nowhere. He looked alive, nothing spooky about him, and he told me he worked for the church and took care of the cemetery. We spoke about my sister's grave and her passing. I found out later that the man was indeed a ghost that many knew about. Another person stated, had this happened to a friend of mine on camera outside of the Sears automotive section. Said on the team radio that he'd run into a lost little girl needing to find her family. He walked from outside to the inside to the security area, the whole time holding his arm and hand out like he was holding the hand of a child. When he got to the security office, he told her to have a seat while the security team showed him some footage. Beyond shocked, he turned around to notice the child had completely vanished. He quit his job a few weeks later. These accounts are both chilling. While some may be skeptical, these stories are hard to ignore. What do you make of it? The concept of living in a matrix or a simulation has long been a matter of fascination for many people. Questions arise, such as who is controlling this matrix? Is it real or just a figment of our imagination? Check out an interview with Billy Carson on a podcast about the Matrix.
We're in a simulation, and you said they just found evidence of it?
As they began to learn through the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, colliding these atoms and particles together, they discovered we're living in a matrix. And then Professor James Gates took it another level and said, wow, we are living in a matrix because he discovered these symbols by the Dogons called Adinkra codes. And these Adinkra codes, when you take them from flat print and take them into three-dimensional objects, they're mathematical codes. But not any type of mathematical code, they're error-correcting codes. The same type that runs search engines and web browsers. And that is what he discovered is running the ether of space-time itself. So we have his expert analysis with his team that he put together, that we're living inside of a matrix running on error-correcting codes like our search engines and web browsers. We have the LHC confirming that we're living in a light matrix. And we also have then the double slit experiment confirming in superposition. Everything exists in multiple realities as a wave of potentials until a conscious observer collapses it into solid material.
So Carson mentions that the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, in Switzerland has confirmed the existence of a light matrix in which we are living. Moreover, the double-split experiment also supports the idea of living in a matrix. According to him, Professor James Gates also confirms that the Adinkra codes could be used to prove this theory. Now, these sound like bold claims, but anyone who knows who Billy Carson is won't be too surprised. After all, he's the founder and CEO of Forbidden Knowledge, Inc., and the best-selling author of The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets and Woke Doesn't Mean Broke. Is there some credibility to what he's saying, though? Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide.
With his team that he put together, that we're living inside of a matrix running on error-correcting codes like our search engines and web browsers. We have the LHC confirming that we're living in a light matrix. And we also have then the double slit experiment confirming in...
No, there it goes. Finally, I knew I shouldn't go in. Everything was telling me not to go in, that I needed to be recording.
In Winston-Salem, a woman came out one evening for some fresh air when she noticed something strange going on with the clouds. Lights were blinking on and off behind the clouds. She said initially the clouds with the lights blinking were above her head. The lights, which were initially blue, changed color as they moved further ahead of her. The color changed to orange. As weird as this is, it was not the weirdest part. There was a long, lingering, heavy feeling that they just couldn't get rid of. This mysterious event leaves both the observer and curious onlookers grappling with various questions. What could be the source of these peculiar lights behind the clouds? Is it a natural phenomenon, an atmospheric anomaly, or perhaps something more enigmatic? These are questions we may never truly have official answers to, but in the meantime, feel free to share your thoughts. Just a quick reminder before the next clip comes, if you still haven't liked, commented, or subscribed, could you do so right now? Thank you very much. There have been reports flooding in from all corners of Oklahoma about sightings of strange and mysterious luminous objects illuminating the night sky. The ambiguity surrounding these sightings fuels a range of theories. Some individuals posit that these luminous objects could be experimental aircraft or drones, possibly of military origin. Others entertain the notion of otherworldly visitors or advanced technological entities exploring the skies. Local communities and the broader public are left to ponder the significance of these sightings. Whether these phenomena are rooted in classified military activities, natural atmospheric occurrences, or something beyond our current understanding. I know you want my views on it, but my team and I are doing some digging around for evidence. We'll have a full video explaining these things coming up soon, and you wouldn't want to miss that, trust me. While we ponder the reality of that video, we still have things to figure out, like this footage, for instance.
We're either being surrounded by friggin' UFOs or the Coast Guard. I want us in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lights we see there. They've been coming on. They were 7 lights.
In this intriguing story, a fisherman's adventure at sea took an unexpected turn when he captured some mysterious footage on his camcorder. The footage shows the beautiful orange horizon as the sun sets, and the camera pans to the distance where a red light is seen. The fisherman then zooms in to capture a closer view, but the footage becomes shaky and unsteady. Suddenly, the camera cuts to a view of more than a dozen of these red lights in the sky, which the fisherman claims to be UFOs that have been trailing his boat for a while. While this man's account of the event is fascinating, the footage is not clear enough to identify what those lights were. Despite the fisherman's claims, some were skeptical about the encounter. Some even registered their frustration about the clip being from afar. One even suggested that they should have moved closer to allow the ships to get near enough for a good shot of the ship. That has me wondering, in what world is that logical?
The state of Florida looked up into the air this morning to see a bright light streaking across the dark sky. Was it a plane?
Still on strange lights in the sky, we visit Florida, where a streak of light was seen in the night sky. It was a bright orb in the center with a beam of light diverging into the sky. It was quite the spectacle that also sparked a lot of frenzy and chaos among the residents. Once again, experts came to clarify that this was just a rocket being launched. However, people were not very convinced, and this is what they had to say. Many called it fake news. The majority were convinced that this could all be covered up for something nefarious going on there. One comment, however, got my attention, and it read, "Aren't rockets supposed to fly vertically, not horizontally?" Now, that's a good question, so I looked it up, and it turns out, not really. This is because launching vertically allows rockets to efficiently escape Earth's atmosphere, which requires a significant amount of thrust. However, once a rocket reaches a certain altitude and velocity, it can adjust its trajectory to move horizontally if that's what the mission requires. Another person argued that if there was indeed a rocket launch, there would have been some form of announcement. We can't confirm if there was or not, but what do you guys make of these theories and speculation?
Chris Bledsoe's case, he's one who's having interactions with orbs on a continuous basis.
During an interview, Colonel John Alexander talks about Chris Bledsoe, a man who claims to see and communicate with what he believes are otherworldly beings. These beings appear to him in the form of orbs.
Object. I just walked out and asked for it to appear, and there it is. It's going right over the pond, totally silent. Now it's dimming down. Thank you. You can see it getting dimmer.
So are these sightings really true? Are the orbs that are being spotted almost every single day around the world actually beings? It's a fascinating topic that sparks a lot of debate. Some people, like Chris Bledsoe, are convinced that these orbs are intelligent beings from another realm or dimension. They report experiences where the orbs seem to interact with them in purposeful ways, suggesting a form of communication. On the other hand, skeptics argue that these orbs could have some more mundane explanations. They could be natural phenomena like ball lightning or other atmospheric conditions. They might also be an optical illusion, reflections, or even artifacts from camera lenses. What do you think?
Pedy, I have a new friend!
Next, we've got a man who decided to go camping deep in the woods. After parking his car, he set up his tent a short distance away, ready to embrace the tranquility of nature. The night passed uneventfully, but the real mystery began at dawn. As he awoke and headed to his car to retrieve some supplies, he was stopped in his tracks by an eerie sight. Standing by his car was a strange figure, clothed entirely in black, with its hand ominously stretched out towards him. Panic surged through him and he bolted, running as fast as his legs could carry him, leaving everything behind. Later, he posted the footage of this unsettling encounter online, and the reactions were explosive. The community was divided. Some viewers were convinced it was a staged event, possibly orchestrated for internet fame. Others speculated it was a prank played by fellow campers. But a significant number of people believed it was something far more sinister, an actual entity haunting that remote piece of land. What do you think? A night vision camera in Peru captured this creature. It has an abnormally big head and a slender body. Seeing this brings Megamind to mind, but he's not real now, is he? This, on the other hand, is very real. Naturally, all who saw it thought it was an alien. Here's the million-dollar question. Is this genuine footage of an alien in Peru, or could there be another explanation for this mysterious glowing entity? Skeptics believe they have the answer. It's a hoax. While that sounds a bit harsh, especially to the believers of aliens, I can understand where they're coming from. What's your take on this otherworldly sighting, alien encounter, or is there a more down-to-earth explanation for this glowing enigma? Share your thoughts on this extraterrestrial or not-so-extraterrestrial mystery. So there's this lake in China that dried up, and guess what? It revealed these mysterious structures that nobody seems to have any record of in the history books. Now, the paranormal community is buzzing with theories about ancient stuff getting buried by nature's grand shuffling, like the Great Floods. As researchers roll up their sleeves for more digging, they're hoping to discover what these structures truly are. But what are your theories? Please do share them. A security camera set up in a rural area for security purposes captured what has left both locals and all who saw it online completely stunned. At first, the footage seems ordinary. It was a quiet day with no one walking around and everything being still. But then, after a few moments, something strange happens. Did you see that? Let's play it again. Dark, ghostly figure appears from inside one building, swiftly moving across to the building opposite, and then vanishes as if it was never there. Some members of the paranormal community think the footage was digitally manipulated, while a number believe this is the real deal. You've seen the clips, so what are your thoughts? These men, who were fishermen by trade, were on a hike to a remote fishing spot in Bolivia when they stumbled upon something unexpected. The area was filled with strange, oddly shaped rocks, and what's even more intriguing is that these rocks eerily resembled flying saucers. Take a look at this footage. Their theory? They believe this could be a UFO landing site, and over time these crafts were somehow petrified in a stone. It's a bold claim, but I must admit the rocks do bear an uncanny resemblance to the classic image of UFOs. What do you think? Could these really be ancient remnants of extraterrestrial technology?
A man was out exploring when he came across something extraordinary, a tomb containing what appeared to be mummies. The tomb seemed to be constructed of sand or stone, and as he dug through the site, this was what he discovered. Inside, there was a mummified figure completely shrouded in white cloth seated on a chair. Between its legs lay a sword embedded in the ground. Beside the seated mummy stood another upright mummy standing as if guarding the area. The man removed the sword to examine it more closely, but it's unclear where this site is located or the significance of what he unearthed. While this discovery is undeniably fascinating, many would argue that ancient sites and artifacts should not be disturbed. They could carry historical, cultural, or even spiritual significance. Exploring such finds should ideally involve archaeologists and experts to ensure that the site is treated with respect and care. Don't you think? While driving home one night, a man came to a sudden halt, and here's why. Right in front of him, on the path cutting through a field, was something straight out of a nightmare. A line of fire stretched across his path, and in the middle of it stood a man. He was shirtless, with a white cloth tied around his waist, and his long hair hung over his face and body, obscuring most of his features. The man behind the wheel quickly stopped his car and began filming this eerie scene. The footage cuts off abruptly, leaving us with so many unanswered questions. What was going on here? Could it have been some kind of ritual or religious practice, or perhaps something even stranger? Take a look at this massive rock formation and tell me, do you see the side profile of a human face? It's hard to miss, right? The contours of the rock look strikingly like a face, with a well-defined nose, a prominent brow, and even what seems like a chin. The resemblance is almost too perfect, almost as if nature itself was playing the role of a sculptor over the centuries. It's eerie how familiar it looks, as though you're staring at an ancient statue rather than a natural rock. But here's the question. Is this just one of those strange coincidences, or is there something more going on here? Maybe it's an example of pareidolia, but the more you look at it, the more you can't help but dispute the fact that it does look like a face. You won't believe the story behind this giant statue of a man with wings. It's not just a piece of art. It's a chilling reminder of violence and its consequences. The entire statue was crafted from knives, over 100,000 of them, all retrieved from more than 40 police stations. These aren't just knives, they are weapons that have been used to murder or harm people. Actual murder weapons that were confiscated by the police. Knowing the grim history behind each blade gives me chills just thinking about it. And then just look at how many there are, enough to create this massive structure. The artist created this masterpiece not only to showcase their skill, but also to honor the victims of knife crime and those affected by such violence. It's both beautiful and haunting at the same time that a powerful symbol of pain turned into a monumental reminder of lives lost. What do you think of this piece of art? Dolls are a big no-no for me. Just way too creepy. But apparently not everyone feels the same way. Take this Japanese woman, for example. In her tiny village of just 25 people, she's filled an entire schoolyard with 350 adult human-sized dolls. Yeah, you heard that right. These aren't your typical little toys either. They're life-size replicas, eerily lifelike, standing, sitting, and scattered all over the yard. She started this unusual hobby 20 years ago, making these dolls to replace villagers who just passed away or moved away. Over time, it became a project to keep the village alive in her own unique way. The result? A haunting scene that looks like something straight out of a horror movie. Imagine walking into a schoolyard filled with life-size dolls staring back at you. Ooh, no thank you. What do you think of this? Heartwarming or just downright chilling? What you're about to see will leave you questioning reality itself. Someone placed a piece of paper in front of a mirror with a red lighter he held between the paper and the mirror. But then the person picks up the lighter, removes it from the setup entirely, and something unexplainable happens. In the mirror, the red lighter is still there, even though it's completely gone in real life. As the person moves the camera closer to the mirror, the reflection shows the lighter exactly where it was before, as if it had never left. How is this possible? Could it be some kind of glitch where the reflection holds onto what should have disappeared, or is there a deliberate trick? What do you think? Is this real or fake? There have been numerous eerie reports from people claiming to have seen figures or even entire cities floating in the sky. One observer shared footage of what they saw at the edge of the clouds were these strange shadowy figures all through the sky. It almost looks like people standing all around, watching from the clouds. It's unsettling to say the least. While some viewers might think it's a supernatural event, others explain this phenomenon as a fata morgana, a type of mirage that distorts distant objects, often making them appear as though they're floating. Still, it's hard to shake that eerie feeling when you see something like this. Could it just be a mirage, or is there something more mysterious at play? What do you think? I can't stress this enough. Before you buy a new home, it's always a good idea to dig into the property's history. You'd be surprised how many people unknowingly move into houses with paranormal activity only to find out after it's too late. Take this couple for example. One night they were woken up by strange noises coming from the attic. Curious and a little freaked out, they decided to investigate. After a thorough search, they were led to something far more terrifying than they expected. On the roof, peeking through a gap, was a creature with a pale body and glowing eyes. It was watching them silently, its head sticking out from the attic, observing the couple like intruders. Shocked and terrified, the couple quickly abandoned their investigation and retreated to their room, leaving the creature in the attic. I mean, how are you supposed to deal with something like that in the middle of the night? There's no way you're going to try to kick out a glowing-eyed creature from your own house at 3 a.m. What would you do if you were in their shoes? When we think of nuclear and radioactive exposure, the first thing that comes to mind is Chernobyl and the like. We never think that there could be a little boy in our neighborhood building a nuclear reactor and putting us all in danger. That's the exact story of David Hahn. the radioactive Boy Scout. Fascinated by science, Han devoured all textbooks and manuals to learn about radioactive materials. As a Boy Scout working on an atomic energy badge, his curiosity spiraled into dangerous experiment. He scavenged radioactive elements from common household items, including americium from smoke detectors, thorium from gas lantern mantles, and radium from antique clocks. With ingenuity and makeshift tools, Han set up a laboratory in his backyard shed, attempting to create a functioning breeder reactor that could generate energy. Unfortunately, Han's experiment took a hazardous turn. The reactor began emitting increasing levels of radiation. Things could have gotten really bad if he hadn't been stopped by the local police, who detected radioactive material in his car during a routine stop. Fearing he might be building a bomb, the feds were contacted, and this led to the dismantling of Han's shed by a hazmat team. Although no explosion occurred, the incident resulted in environmental contamination and highlighted the potential dangers of unregulated amateur experiments. This is a picture of David in his mid-20s with sores all over his body. He paid a hefty price for his experiment, but imagine authorities never discovering his experiment. Just imagine what could have happened to him and his neighborhood. Scary, huh? Well, just in case you were wondering, he ended up serving in the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps, but died young. Well, on that note, let's dive into another fascinating discovery captured on camera. A group of workers on site managed to capture something truly bizarre. A small patch of cloud appeared to be falling right out of the sky. Yes, a piece of a cloud just descended to the ground. Now, we all know that clouds aren't supposed to fall, they're supposed to stay suspended in the sky. But this moment seems to challenge everything we thought we knew. Just look at how the men rushed to check it out, running over in disbelief to examine what appeared to be a fallen piece of cloud. But here's the real question. Can clouds actually fall, or is there another explanation for this strange phenomenon? A man was filming this light orb in the sky, and just when it seemed to be fading away, something unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, a few more glowing orbs appeared, followed by streaks of light beneath them. It almost looked like comets falling, but they were moving together in perfect unison. I have to say it looked absolutely stunning, but what could this be? One commenter suggested it might be space debris entering the Earth's atmosphere, which could explain the streaks of light. Do you agree?
Whoa! Awesome!
Did you catch that? If not, take a look again. These two friends dropped a heavy rock into the water, and instead of it just sinking to the bottom, once the rock hit the surface of the water, it looked like the water temporarily became a thin surface before the stone went in. Is that normal? Well, the individuals recording don't think so. They felt there was some supernatural power over the water which stopped it from just going in immediately after it hit the surface of the water. I mean, I get why they think that, but this reminded me of a concept I learned back in elementary school. The concept is surface tension. For those unfamiliar with the term, surface tension is the force that causes the surface of a liquid to behave like an elastic sheet due to cohesive forces between the molecules at the surface. From my basic knowledge of science, this is what I believe happened. When the rock hit the water's surface momentarily resisted penetration due to the cohesion between water molecules. This created the appearance of a thin elastic skin on the water's surface before the rock broke through. Surface tension results from the attraction between molecules in a liquid, especially at the surface where molecules form stronger bonds, since there are no neighboring molecules above to balance out these forces. This effect is what makes the surface appear briefly solid or a thin membrane. So sadly, no paranormal activity here. I would have loved for this to be evidence of something really cool, but given the circumstances, I doubt that's the case. So yeah, that's the disappointing scientific explanation. What say you? Russia has been embroiled in a drawn-out war for years, with the United States standing firmly on Ukraine's side. Recently, a move by outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden has sent shock waves worldwide. He authorized the use of U.S.-made missiles by Ukraine to target Russian territory. This action has escalated tensions dramatically, with many fearing it could spark a third world war. We know how volatile Vladimir Putin can be, and he's already responded. In a statement, Putin suggested that this move has brought the world closer to a direct war between Russia and the US, even hinting that he might consider the use of nuclear weapons. And we don't need to imagine what that means for humanity. It's catastrophic. But the real question is, why now? Joe Biden, the sitting president who is approaching the end of his term, seems frail even in public appearances. Yet here he is, making decisions with monumental consequences for global security. Is this really Biden's strategy, or is someone else pulling the strings behind the scenes? This man working in the sewers of London pulled out this creature from the sewer water. It's massive, and it's a slimy creature. Just look at the size of that thing. It's enormous, larger than anything you'd expect to find lurking in a sewer. The sewers are one of the least explored places in any city, filled with all kinds of waste, chemicals, and runoff. Who knows what sort of bizarre and potentially dangerous creatures could thrive in such an environment? If this footage is real, could this massive slug-like creature be some kind of mutation caused by chemical exposure? Or could it simply be a species we haven't encountered often due to the dark and hostile environment of the sewers? On the other hand, there's always the possibility that this is AI-generated footage. If that's the case, it's a chillingly convincing piece of work.
The ET craft do exist. Something had to build them, so there must be aliens. And since there are and the craft are there must be some sort of factory and an entire civilization somewhere.
This man has a very interesting theory on why he believes aliens exist, and honestly, it's quite compelling. Listen to his analogy. He begins by stating that if alien crafts are real, then logically someone must have built them, and if they were built, that means there must have been a civilization behind them, one that exists somewhere out there in the universe. His logic is simple yet profound. The existence of these crafts implies the existence of intelligent beings capable of creating them, So if the crafts are real, there's no denying that life exists beyond our planet. It's a fascinating way to look at the question of extraterrestrial life, isn't it?
To exist. Something had to build them, so there must be aliens. And since there are, and the craft are there must be some sort of factory and an entire civilization somewhere.
Right there, right there. You sort of see this amorphous blob move behind him. I don't know what the hell that is. That could be a video distortion or something, but to me, I think we just captured a cloaked Bigfoot.
There's an interesting theory floating around that Bigfoots, or Sasquatches, are actually multi-dimensional beings. If this is to be believed, it would be explained why they are so elusive, able to cloak themselves from human sight and seemingly vanish without a trace. In this particular incident, a man was exploring a cave in the mountains, an area well known for Bigfoot sightings. As you may know, these creatures are often linked to remote mountainous regions. While filming the inside of the cave, something strange happened. A few seconds into the footage, there's a sudden movement. It's so quick you might miss it, but there's a clear shift, almost like a cave is reacting to something unseen walking through it. The adventurer and others with him believe this is no ordinary phenomenon. They think they may have encountered a Bigfoot and it was using its ability to slip in and out of our dimension, hiding from view but not entirely absent. Think of it as using a cloaking technology, but one that allows you to slip in and out of realities. Crazy, I know, but what do you think?
Right there, right there. You sort of see this amorphous blob move behind him. I don't know what the hell that is. That could be a video distortion or something, but to me, I think we just captured a cloaked Bigfoot.
A woman was hiking when she spotted something unusual in the valley below. In the water, she observed a humanoid figure, but its bottom half resembled a fish. She believes it could be a mermaid. The creature's form seemed to align with traditional depictions of mermaids, blending human and aquatic features. However, the video remains unclear and many are debating its authenticity. While some see this as possible evidence of mythical sea creatures, others argue it might have been a misidentified animal, such as a seal or a manatee, or even an elaborate hoax. What are your thoughts? What do you reckon this is? Before you say leaf, take a closer look. It appears to have legs and is moving on the thumb of the individual filming. Shocked by the sight of this creature, he recorded it and then uploaded it asking for answers. Here's the thing though, our paranormal community has all kinds of people, including science whizzes like Julius, yet no one could identify what this is. I tried using AI and Google to get answers, yet even they couldn't help me. Does this mean this clip is fabricated, or are we dealing with something new? Something no one has heard of or seen before? I think I will let you guys answer this one. If you know what it is, kindly help us out in the comments section. Not everyone believes in the paranormal, but there are plenty who do, and this particular footage might just sway a few more to that side.
Keeps going and going and going. Not smelling thick stuff out all the time, but hold up, here it goes again. Yeah. Just the way it moves, it's freaky.
A couple decided to use a Ouija board to communicate with an entity, hoping to catch some sort of paranormal activity.
What's interesting about this video is that neither of them touched the planchette, yet it still moved. You can clearly see it glide across the board on its own. Just look at that. For those unfamiliar with it, the Ouija board is said to be a medium for communicating with spirits. This couple appeared to be in contact with something as the planchette began spelling out the word careful. The moment the man asked, careful of what, things escalated quickly. The chair and the table next to them moved aggressively, startling both of them. The man insists that the footage is not a hoax, so what do you think? Could this really be the work of a spirit? And for those who tried a Ouija board before, was it effective in communicating with the spirit world? Has your life been the same since using it? Let us know in the comments. I wouldn't advise anyone here to play around with one though.
Keeps going and going and going. Not spelling thick stuff out all the time, but hold up, here it goes again. Yeah. Just the way it moves, it's freaky. Yeah.
Here we have some bizarre footage of an unusual object moving across the sky. What's strange is that it appears to have originated from the ground and is now floating upward into the sky. The object itself doesn't seem like any typical aircraft or drone. It has an almost erratic movement, almost as if it's not following a natural flight pattern. Some say it looks like a strange craft, while others speculate it might be some sort of balloon or even weather anomaly. But what makes it even more compelling is how it started from the ground and ascended. It raises questions. Was it launched? Was it something that naturally lifted off, or could it be some unknown technology? These are questions we don't exactly have answers to. Do you?
While you decide on that, here's a holiday mystery that has earned its place as a Christmas classic among cryptid fans, the so-called Christmas Bigfoot footage. This was captured in Minnesota in 2014 and later featured on Paranormal, caught on camera on the Travel Channel. The clip begins with the family enjoying their Christmas festivities, which is followed by an eerie interruption that has sparked endless debates among believers and skeptics alike. When the video first surfaced, the family described their experience with a mix of awe and fear. They said, "If you see that this Christmas in your yard, you go out there and you look at the footprints. An animal that size could easily snap a person like a twig. That fear was real." The next day, they found deep holes in the snow where the creature had walked. They noted how anything moving through deep snow leaves similar impressions, whether it's a German Shepherd or a Timberwolf. The tracks, while intriguing, have left little to confirm what kind of creature had made them. Some believe it was the big guy, whereas others think there's nothing extraordinary about it. Not sure those who had the experience feel that way, but what do you guys think? I know I'm not the only one who asked what was going on here when this clip started playing. Someone noticed this strange movement on the water's surface. It looks like something is moving beneath, but on the surface you can see waves forming and a fountain-like spurt of water shooting up as it moves. It was an interesting sight to behold, but it was also one of the individual recording didn't have answers to. Could there be something massive lurking just beneath the surface? We can't say for sure, but some have speculated it could be an underwater creature, while others think it might be a hidden mechanical structure or even a rupture in the seafloor. Could this be something unnatural, or is there something more mysterious at play? Kindly share your thoughts. And with that, we end today's episode. Thank you for staying with us. Before you go, are there clips and videos you think we should have featured by now that we haven't? Well, the good news is you can share them with us and we'll post them crediting you. Please send any such footage, including ones you recorded yourself, to us via classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll do our thing and include it in our next episode. We can't wait to receive what you have. Share this video with someone you love, and I will see you in the next one.